I remember when they told me there was nothing for me, no hopes to keep on dreaming, and I was way past 30. I sat in my room and I began to cry, then caught myself again, said I would upgrade my life. I'm gonna upgrade my life. I'm gonna upgrade my life. Could never do it without my tribe. I'm gonna upgrade my life. Welcome to the Drdinspyre Upgrade My Life and Biz podcast, where we give you tools and tips to reach personal and professional goals.
Hello, it's yours truly, Dr. Allana Da Graca, president of Turning on the Lights Global Institute. I want to welcome you to this podcast, the Upgrade My Life and Biz podcast, where you can get tools and tips to reach personal and professional goals. Well, hello, everybody. How are you today? Today, I want to remind you to own your choices. Own all of the choices that you are making on a day-to-day basis. You know what? When I look at where I am today, when I look at all of the teaching and learning and studying and researching that I have had throughout the years, I realized that the moments I had the biggest growth was when I decided to own and make the decision that I was going to complete a task or complete a project. But I also want to talk to you about times when you may feel like you're not ready to start something and it's really just you being stuck in your head. Like when I was done with college, I was 23 years old and I desperately wanted to continue what I was doing, but I hadn't met anybody that had made good income to show me how I could effectively speak, do trainings, and do workshops for compensation. Because everybody that I met, they all said, well, I would like to learn that myself. And they would also always point me back to, go get that day job. And of course I did that. And of course we need to work, right? We have to work sometimes 1 and 2 jobs in order to get to the real result of what we're looking for. Could be a passion project, could be entrepreneurship. However, I remember literally parking the idea that my dream of entrepreneurship in this capacity could be possible. And I did work in television, I did spend time in radio, and I did meet amazing people. But the one thing that I recognized that for those individuals who also wanted to start their own practices, they gave me a lot of reasons why it could not happen. I mean, I remember being at a TV station and thinking, well, here are all these people. They must be happy. They made it. They're at the TV station. And the more I started to ask questions, the more I found that people really wanted to do more. They either A, just told themselves it wasn't possible, or B, just said their schedule was too hectic. And I remember just feeling like I need someone to give me support. And because it wasn't readily available to me, I kept reading the self help books and things like that. But as far as really becoming an author or a speaker or even a coach, I just said, this is not possible. So I literally would journal about this and I packed it in my luggage and hid it in my luggage for more than 15 years. But challenges in your life will cause you to see what's really important. You know that when you go through a diagnosis, when you go through a hard patch, when you lose a job, when you lose a leg, you'll be surprised at who's standing around you, who's still standing. And I always tell people you really know your friends when you're going through a very tough time and you see who's standing there with you. Because to me, true relationship is not only when everything is rosy and peachy, it's also when there are hard patches. And so for me, it took having a number of challenges for me to say, wait a minute, you mean to tell me I've been so distracted that I've hid those journals in my luggage for this long? What's my plan going to be? Because at this point, I was already, I believe I was like 35, 36 when I realized I don't have another 15 years to wait to see if my dream is possible. And that's what I want to remind you. If you still have desires to write a book, start a business, do a new project, leave a job, start a new job, or do something different, maybe you can't do it immediately, but maybe you can make small steps. And one of the best things I could have ever done was have that wake up call where I literally said, okay, that's it. If I literally only had 120 days rest to live, what would I do differently? And that changed everything because I recognized that I was a big part of my own problem. I was the one not writing, I was the one not executing beyond what I thought people thought I should be able to do. And sometimes we don't even recognize how our environments can have a strong impact on how we see ourselves, on the things that we think we can accomplish. And if we don't have a wake up call, we could get to a place where we see 10, 15 years has gone by and we say, oh my gosh, I'm 50, I'm 60, I'm 70, now what? So if you ever had that now what moment, I want you to know that it is absolutely okay to feel like, oh my goodness, I failed. It's absolutely okay to feel defeated, to feel saddened by all of this, but don't stay there. Make the decision that, you know what? I can own this choice. I own that, yeah, I packed my stuff in luggages for 15 years. Yes, I regret it. Yes, am I resenting that? Absolutely. Do I wish I could have started things over? Absolutely. But then waking up and saying, you know what? I'm okay with that because today I'm going to make a different decision. So I would like to encourage you to do three things if you know you're ready to transform where you are right now. Number one, take a huge, drastic action today, not tomorrow, today. Like, what's one big action you can take today? Number two, write a letter to yourself about where you are right now. If you're not happy, if you don't like the numbers on the scale, if you don't like the numbers in your bank account, write about it. Tell yourself, you know what, I acknowledge it. You don't want to just let it go by you and say, oh, well, because what will happen is I think when we start to accept what we believe in our heart is not acceptable, we then will work towards a lot of resentment. And I definitely don't want you to have that. So I want to encourage you to remember every single day you are making choices. You're making choices to do something or you're making choices not to do something. But let me tell you about the other side of taking that drastic action. When you take drastic action and say, that's it, like I did when I said, that's it, I'm going to go to Starbucks. I'm going to work on this book right now. I don't even know what the name of the book is going to be. I'm going to write my first chapter. I just was fed up with all the excuses that I had. With all of that was just being in my head. And a lot of times when I talk to really high performing leaders, it's kind of like, we want everything to be perfect. We want to feel perfect. We want to feel like we have all the right people lined up. No, actually, great change happens when we feel like there's so much going on, but yet we make a decision that, wait a minute, I know what I want to aim for. And I would say, if you know you have gifts that you have not used yet, age is not a limitation. And I often will say that because it is true that as you get older, there's not a lot of, there's just not a lot of proactive things about seeing older people reach dreams. I don't know why, to me, I feel like I see a lot of commercials about, I see a lot of commercials about being older or about different ailments, but you don't really see a lot of commercials around, thinking about your future in a positive light. And no matter what your age is, if you want to sing, go sing. If you want to paint, go paint. You don't see a lot of these self-help motivational things on regular TV. So I want to just encourage you to go out and do it. There were some years ago when I did a presentation at this library, and I challenged, at that time, I wasn't really sure who I was going to be speaking to. And so I got there and there was a bunch of individuals who had already retired. And I thought to myself, well, what can I tell them? They've already lived their life. They've already worked a number of jobs. But I remember saying, you know what, next time I come, I want you guys to bring me something that you have created or designed, and we're going to celebrate the gifts that you have. And I cannot even tell you how surprised I was when I showed up at the next day and there was a table that was circulating around the whole entire periphery of the room. And there were scarves and brownies and cookies and food and sweaters and you name it. These people came with their gifts, and I was so touched. And I realized I had placed a limitation on what I thought they could do. And so I just want to challenge you today to own your choices. And remember, usually when you're about to do something amazing, it doesn't always feel like the perfect time. But when you say to yourself, I'm going to do it despite how I'm feeling, you just might surprise yourself. So today, the lesson is to own your choice. Go ahead and follow the Upgrade My Life and Biz podcast. Share, comment, and like. Thank you.